Hecate shines the light, Anubis helps us weigh the heart, but Thoth gives us the words to describe our new direction. Today, we're looking at the master stylist, the scribe of the gods, and what I believe is the energy essential to the instruction manual for anyone trying to reclaim their sovereignty in today's world. Stay with us for that conversation. Hi, my name is Reverend Susanna Olson. I am a torchbearer and a key bearer with the Coven of Hecate. I'm the founder of the Sanctuary of Hecate Bremo. And today I'm going to talk with you about the third portion of my trifecta is Thoth. I do want to go over that with you today. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to do a reading at some point, and we're going to be focusing on the PGM, which is the Greek Magical Papyri in translation by Hans-Dieter Betz. That's going to be the book I'm using. So let's get started. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, I do have an update before we get into the conversation. I've been working on this piece. This is just made out of natural clay, but this is an image of Hecate that I created with the horse, the boar, and the dog, and it sits on a crossroads piece here. I'm feeling a little shaky this morning. I apologize for that. But this was one of the pieces that I created. I do like to work in clay. Well, I do have the images that I've purchased. Some of the things that I like to create, handmade items that I think it adds a little bit more to your altar space. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to also remind you, I'm a neurodivergent creator. So I reply heavily on my notes, which are down here on my lap. So I'll be looking away from time to time. I also have a remote on my watch so that I can see if the camera is recording. So sometimes you'll see me look down at my watch to make sure that everything's recording properly. So when we're speaking about Thoth, we're talking about the heart and tongue of Ra. It represents divine intelligence, the inventor of hieroglyphics, the ultimate witness to everything in the cosmos. He is writing everything down. He is the functional part of what we know. I like to think of this as something that's very, if you ask any neurodivergent person, we've got the receipts. We write everything down. We know what's happening. If you're looking for something, if you want information, those are the people you go to because they are the ones that are recording everything. If we look at the PGM, and again, I mentioned this is the copy by Hans-Dieter Betz, and I've bookmarked a few things in here to talk about. So the PGM 8, 1 through 15, talks about where here Thoth is often conflated with Hermes. So they're sort of mixed together. And here he's invoked as the inventor of persuasive speech, the inventor of things. He is the discoverer of words. This linked together, Hermes and Thoth together, are the ultimate intermediary or the scribe of the gods. He is the one who holds the cosmic law. He is the one that has the precise language to command those laws, right? So he's writing the books. He's telling everyone what they need to do. In this time period, he is often referred to as the incorruptible judge who weighs the heart of the deceased against the feather and decides the worthiness of their afterlife. So he is the one standing. You've got Anubis, who is there handling everything, and Thoth, who's writing it down. He is the patron of knowledge, the inventor of mathematics, astronomy, medicine, law, making him the patron of all knowledge. So we can see how he would kind of blend in with Hecate here as being that person with the keys to unlock the knowledge. During this time period, the Greeks relied heavily on Thoth, and they identified it with Hermes, and they created a third deity, or the combination of these deities were Hermes Trismegistus, and that just means Thoth thrice great. It's a little tricky to say. And I had some dental surgery earlier this week, so I'm still recovering a little bit from that. So I apologize for my mispronunciations right now. Um, some of the iconology related to Thoth is going to be an ibis-headed man or a baboon. They're often seen with a brazier or created in bronze. So this particular statue that I have has the ibis-headed version. And you can see he has this the Claudius, which is the symbol of Hermes, which I thought was very interesting. And if we go on to PGM 1, 232 through 47, there's a sympathetic magic. It's where you use the wings, ibis wings, to create a hermetic ink. And and then you follow a strict set of numerology, which involves reciting the Voices Magica, which we've talked about in another video. And then you drink the ink, and then the god itself effectively enhances your memory. Now, this, of course, is from the PGM. Please do not do anything like this in real life. That is not what we're talking about. We're referring to this particular book, but that's one of the spells. And in this memory spell, it says you take the papyrus and you write down with the ink. You've written down what they want, what you're looking for. You put 7 sprigs with it, and then water, and then you set it out under the full moon, and then and then your spell or your water is enhanced with that energy of your spell. You can find all this words in this book. I'm not going to put it all out here simply because of the algorithms that could deem me as promoting something that's not healthy. So that was one spell. The next one is when we see Thoth mentioned in the PGM, there are several areas, right? So when we say, and it's very difficult to say, Araphothoth may be the right way. It's Chaiphoth. If you know how to say that, certainly leave me a pronunciation in the comments. But when you say this twice, that actually refers to saying it as thrice great. And you can read that in the footnotes of this particular page. That's 263 to 347 verses is where you'll find that reference. And then the actual verbiage is, but guard that my whole body come to light intact. For you arrange these things among mankind for them to learn. I call your name in equal numbers to the very Morai. So when you think about that, what is the Morai, right? The Morai are the fates. And how many fates are there? There are 3, right? So I call your name in equal numbers to the Morai. So, that would be Thoth, 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 or, Hermes Trismegistus, saying that 3 times. In a lot of antiquity, the number 3 comes up so many times. And when you say it 3 times, and that's supposed to be enhancing your magic. And the next section that I want to talk about is 150 through 231, and it's called the Inquiry of the Lamp. And in this ritual, Thoth is called upon to grant clear vision, right, or divine vision. And of course, as a master of light and creator, he's going to be here to cut through the darkness. I think that they could probably have leveraged Hecate in the same manner. But in this particular case, this is called upon, and his goal is to use the power of Thoth to illuminate the truth, just to call that into fruition. So, and then I'll just read one of the lines here. It says, are you unique, great wick of linen of Thoth? Are you the ibis robe of Osiris, the divine drown woven by the hand of Isis and spun by the hand of Nefertiti? So, and then if we went further down to line 65, we can also see that the hand of Anubis is that which is laid against you. So in this case, we've actually referenced 2 of the deities that we're talking about here in this one bit of fragment of text. So that by no means are the only places that Thoth is mentioned in the Greek Magical Papyri. I am not a scholar on this. It's not something that I am going to say I'm an expert in, but if you look at academia.com, I believe it's academia.com. Let me just double check. Yes. If you go to academia, they have it's called the Great Book of Magic Spells, and it is the Greek Magical Papyri. And you can actually just search for things. You can put in certain words. You can find Hecate. You can find Thoth. You can find Osiris, and of course a plethora of deities. But if you go there, you can actually go through and find the fragments that you're looking for. And to me, I don't think that the Greek Magical Papyri is a book that you need to read cover to cover. And I don't say that about a lot of books. This book, however, because of its fragmented nature, I think that it's intended to be more as a reference. I think that you can go in and find the particular phrases that you're looking for. This particular copy of the book has a section at the front that will go through, all of, what you can find here, right? There's spells for revelation, spells for knowledge. There's spells for direct vision, spells against demons. There's all sorts of things, requests for an oracle dream. There are all sorts of things in here that you can find by looking through this index and locating the particular spell. So it's not like a storybook or a history book or anything like that. It's more of a list of just pieces of fragments. I do recommend reading the explanation of references and textual signs in the front. I do recommend going over the abbreviations so that you can understand what they're saying. And the footnotes in here are very extensive. So you can see that this particular page over here, the entire half a page are footnotes. And they all have references, there's definitions, and it explains to you, like in one case, I was reading a fragment that referenced Thoth, and then down in the bottom it said this was Hermes Trismegistus, is referenced in another book. So I find that very interesting, and it's a very good book to have on hand. But again, not a cover to cover type situation. Okay, so why do I connect to Thoth? I've always been of the belief that writing is a sacred act, right? I believe that when you write something down, because of my neurodivergence, I have some issues trying to make sure my facts are in the correct order. So I write down everything. I've got several whiteboards over in my room. I've got sticky notes everywhere. I've got things written down because it makes me feel like I have that information. And for me, when I write down notes from different books that I read and I put them up for sale on my website, they're fragmented, right? They're written down in such a way that maybe not necessarily like this book is something that you would read cover to cover, but more of all of my thoughts strung together, or perhaps they are outlines for a class that I'm teaching, or in this case, like this, I have notes written down and I'll publish them as a way to help support the sanctuary. So to me, Hecate, right, is the light, right? She is the light. He is the logic. And then we see Thoth as observing, as being the person who's writing everything down. So let me just go through. Yeah, and I want to talk about why these three together, right? Why these three together? First of all, they have a shared gateway. Hecate and Anubis are keepers of the keys, keepers of the underworld. While Hecate may be the opener of the way, I'm sorry, Anubis is the opener of the way, Hecate is the lighter of the way. That's sort of the way I see them together. And then we have Thoth, who is, or Hermes. They're frequently, Hermes and Hecate are frequently placed together in Greek and Roman, or in Greek mythology. Thoth is the structure, right? He is the structure of that. And Hecate is the access. And I see Anubis as sort of the bridge between them. Historically, even Anubis has been conflated with Hermes as Hermanubis, right? And this is the Egyptian god of the dead. It places them alongside Thoth and Hecate as being, that bridging area, that Sankalpamp, if you will, which is a funny word, Sankalpamp. Okay, so if we think about the unified altar, right, then we see Hecate is the vision, Thoth is the wisdom, and Anubis is the judgment, the scales, right, keeping everything in balance. Now, if we look at, last time I talked about Anubis, I talked about Anubis in popular culture. You can find Thoth in popular culture as well. He was in the Mr. Ibis in American Gods. He was a magical scientist in the Kane Chronicles. He was portrayed as a strategist in the film Gods of Egypt. He's also the source of the life-giving scroll in The Mummy. So, those are very popular movies that came out. There was also some comic books, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Smite is another one, and Persona 5. Those are 3 comic books that you will also find Thoth in. So to me, they complete the story. I've always had this drawn or this attraction to Anubis, and I felt like Anubis was really related to Hecate. And early on in my studies, I put together like an essay, and it's on my website as one of the fundraiser pieces that I use for the blessing box. But I've always felt that there was a relationship there. I felt like the black dog reference. I felt that the escorting of the dead, that sort of thing. It just always made me feel like there was a relationship between them. And thoughts being that writing instrument, being that source of all knowledge, the recorder of things. That's the reason I picked Scribe as my key bearer commitment, was related directly to this deity. So what we're going to do now, I want to do a little update. The Blessing Box of Goldsboro is going very well. We're headed into just past the dark moon. So we are going to be doing our drop off this year, or I'm sorry, this week. We are going to be setting out a lot of bottled water, fresh fruits and vegetables. It's getting hotter. It's supposed to be upwards of 90 degrees over the next few days. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of things in for hydration and to keep our those that need really taken care of over this summer. You can help us maintain that box by either making a direct donation through PayPal on my website, or you can buy something on the website. Like I said, I have several essays that are up there. I hasten to say books, right? Because I don't consider myself an author. I consider myself someone who puts thoughts together. I just sort of put them together and then they're there for you to view. So I do have a lot of free stuff on the website, but I also have some items that are for sale to help us fill the blessing box of Goldsboro. Let's see, what else did I want to share about that? I think that was all I wanted to share about that today. Let's do our reading. I'm going to pull from the Crossroads Oracle. Hair magic, don't forget, I always tell you about this. These are scrunchies that I put my hair up, and I take a scrunchie and I do a hair magic spell where you braid your hair. I have a video on that. I'll try to remember to link it somewhere. But I do a hair magic spell, and then these are imbued with that energy, and I use those around my card decks. You can see I've got one on my River Witch Oracle as well. But I use those to imbue myself into my deck. So we'll pull from the Crossroads Oracle. Our first card is Chthonic Energy. So let me hold that up for you. And this card is in our torch slot. So remember, the Crossroads Oracle reading is torch, key, and athame. It is clarity, action, and what you're severing, right? So this one is Chthonic Energy. How appropriate, right, for our reading today. It's the underworld, it's depths, it's mystery. So what we're looking for is, what truth have you been avoiding that you haven't written down, right? What needs to be written down? What is something going on in your life that has to deal with mysteries, right? You're trying to figure something out. What's going on with that? Someone's trying to tell you something, right? God, no, the wrong song. This is going to be what your first card is. So be sure that you're thinking about what's going on in your life that's calling out this energy. Our next card is Fire. So let me hold that up for you. Fire is, the keywords are courage, intuition, and passion. Now this is in the key slot, so this is our action, right? What is it that you need to do? What is that word you need to speak? What is that action you need to take? Does it require passion? Is this related to your love life? Is it related to art, magic? What is this related to? There is something there. There's intuition. There's something hiding there that you need to find out. So think about in your life right now, what's going on that you want to discover or that you need to discover. And our last card today, ooh, it's Hecate and Malone. This has been a pretty dark reading. I mean, fire, the chthonic energy, and now Malone. Malone is it's one of the epitaphs of the goddess Hecate. It is and I say epitaph, and that's just because I'm Southern and everything sounds strange when I say it, but it's epitaph is the way it should be pronounced. But she is this epithet represents ghosts, nightmares, funerals, right? And this is in our Athame slot, right? So this is, what is there you need to take out? What does Thoth need to strike from the record today? What is going on that you need to do that? Is there something going on? Is it literal? Are you having nightmares? Is it a literal nightmare? Or is it something else, right? Or has someone passed on and maybe you need to let them go? Maybe it's time to sever that bond. Maybe it's time to send them off and maybe create your ancestor altar or create that path that allows them to continue on their way. So those are our cards for today. I'll hold them up for you. So I'll hold those cards up for you. And this is the Crossroads Oracle deck. It is available on my website. I have a few copies left. It is self-published, so it's not available on Amazon or anywhere like that. But you can get one of the deck copies off of my website, and all proceeds from that website go to support the Blessing Box of Goldsboro. If you're new to the channel and you're maybe not familiar with the Blessing Box, the Blessing Box is a series of boxes that are placed around the area. They're placed typically at crossroads, just because that's how it ended up. It's not anything specifically aligned with Hecate. I'm partnering with another organization that we through this channel, we purchased one of the boxes. We were able to set it up, and then every dark moon or every nomia, we go and on our Daipen, we go and put food, socks, water, fruit, vegetables, whatever, things that people need, so that if there's someone out there who doesn't have the things that they need, they're able to get what they need, as modestly as we can. We work strictly on donations, and then what I put in out of my own pocket to help support this particular organization. And I do this because I was raised here, and I was a poor child here. I was on Medicaid and food stamps and all of those things. And a lot of times we didn't have food and we didn't have electricity. And it was a very hard time. Sometimes the only time I had food was when I went to school for lunch. So I try to give back by making sure that I do what I can to put stuff in these boxes to help those other people that might be in that same similar situation. So check out my website, hecatebremo.org. You can go there to make donations, look at some of the things that I've written down, maybe purchase something in order to help us continue our work. If you go to hecatebremo.com, you'll find our Facebook group. You're welcome to join in the conversation. This video is posted there, as well as a lot of other things. I do some daily visualizations and things like that in that channel. So I invite you to join there. Next time, we will be looking at Hecate. We have already talked in part 1, we talked about Anubis. Part 2 is going to be Thoth, and then we will focus on Hecate next time. So I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Please feel free to join the conversation in the comments, and I will speak to you again soon. Until then, have a glorious day.